So, where are we now?
So I want to ask you some things. Um, did the FBI ever talk to your children, or did they ever talk to you?
Never,
Never,
never ever,
never ever.
never ever.
And did you have to explain anything to your children about
Well,
where their father was and why they shouldn't talk to
oh,
him?
I'm sure I did because that's the way I mean, we didn't have to keep secrets from them.
Mm-hmm.
And we took them, I think, for sure once a year of the 5 years. I took the kids. We met with Arch. And I think probably additionally, I would get away with making some arrangements for somebody to be there. They were home with my dad, and somebody was there, and I would go off and with a very elaborate arrangement and spend a week or so with Arch.
Mm-hmm.
And it was heavy duty. What can I say? I was young, so was he.
Mm-hmm.
We were dedicated, so
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting to see what's going on now with the Patriot Act, and all of that garbage is a repeat. So,
It's very similar, isn't it?
huh?
It's very similar.
Right.
Right.
So anyway, we survived.
Why did the party put a leadership underground?
It put a whole organization underground,
Mm-hmm.
and with I don't know all the details about the underground because you knew better than to inquire. You never ask those questions because once they get out, they get heard. So you kept your mouth shut and you did what you did.
But the reason for it was because the party believed that fascism was going to.
Well, not only that, they believed that the party had a role to play in society,
Sure.
and we didn't want to have it destroyed. So we were cognizant of it. We had support. The party organization, the legal part of the party organization, was very supportive.
Mhm.
So that we weren't alone.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. So we survived. My kids survived. They all are friendly. They're very supportive of. They were certainly very supportive of anything that Archie did. He was when he came back and went back to work on the waterfront. He was after the 34 strike. The Scalers, which were a subsidiary local, the ones who cleaned the tanks and the ships and one thing or another, they were a local of the ILWU, and they didn't go back to work after the 34 strike. No. Let's come with me. This framed document, I don't know if you can read it. The Scalers' death trial frame-up opens.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the Scalers had a meeting at their hall at night, and there was a contest on whether to go back to work or to continue the strike. And there were some disruptors or stoop pigeons or whatever they were who started a fight. So the president of the union and the secretary were injured, and Archie, as a member, went up to the stage to try and get the members to not be hysterical. Don't let them get away with it. Let's finish the meeting. Anyway, the meeting was on the second floor in the hall across the street from Local 10's headquarters. And they all started going out of the building. And one guy who was not a well member, he was physically not a well member, as he got to the stairs, there was a marquee out over the outside stairs, and there was a window there. And this guy went out and stood on the marquee because everybody was going down the stairs. And the marquee was just glass with tar paper over it, so he fell to the first floor. Well, they took him to the hospital. Then the Red Squad came and they arrested I think 4 people. I think three were Spaniards and Archie. I think there were 4 of them. Anyway, so then this guy died in the county hospital, and so they arrested Archie and 1, 2, 3. I think there were 4 of them, the 4 scalers, and they charged them with murder for having thrown this guy out of the window or out of the building. Anyway, so they had this trial, and the lawyer that I worked for, George Anderson, was one of the lawyers, and Leo Gallagher from Los Angeles. Those 2 lawyers were the lawyers. Archie Brown defended himself, and the evidence was the record of the hospital, the transcript for the hospital records was given to George Anderson, and whose wife is a doctor, and he's reading this transcript, and he says to his wife Frances, "Hey, Frances, what does this term mean?" That they referred to this guy who died, that he had blah 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 blah. Says, well, that means he had a bad heart. I think he had a syphilitic heart. Anyway, so that's one thing. So they subpoenaed the hospital records. So they found out this guy had a bad heart, and they also had the transcript where they asked him who threw him out the window. He said, "Nobody. I went out myself." So all this evidence is presented at the trial. The jury goes out. It comes back in 5 minutes with not guilty. These guys, 81 days in jail because murder charges, you can't get bail. So the jury was out for 5 minutes and came back with a not guilty. And that was the end of that trial.